Hey everybody, welcome to the Ultimate Cargasm. I'm Mike, the Automotive Junkie, and I'm sitting down. I have a wonderful guest here. Jeff decided to come on and be the inaugural guest
I feel special.
on this podcast. So I'm
I feel very special,
excited
actually.
to have you. Jeff's actually not only a Mustang guy and a Ford fan, but he's also somewhat of a automotive encyclopedia, walking encyclopedia, basically, of automotive.
That's what a few of them have told me.
It's kind of funny because Jeff's the guy that, whenever a interesting or rare car shows up at a car show and we have no clue what it is, we just say, "Hey Jeff, what's that?" And he's like, "Oh, that's a one of 20 blah blah blah." And that one's owned by this guy and whoever. So he's got the knowledge, which is good. So but to get started, we'll talk a little bit about yourself. So if you want to kind of let everybody know who you are,
Sure.
and then maybe talk a little bit about your health journey.
Yeah. Well, I'm 47. I'm Jeff Greenlee. I live in Chester County, Phoenixville. Awesome area. For past, 30 plus years, I've been dealing with a lot of GI, liver issue. Had a transplant at age 27, had my large intestine removed at 24. That is a two-part surgery where they remove your large intestine. You have a bag for 2 to 3 months, and then you go back and have it connected. That was a hiccup because that 2 months turned into 6 because that's when my liver started failing for the first time. Actually, the day they were going to do the second surgery. I had a dozen people touch me that day, put IVs in, check my temperature, check my weight, blah, blah, blah. And nobody could tell me that my eyes were bright yellow except the surgeon, who was 74 years old at the time.
Okay.
Come in and says, "You're not getting operated on today." Okay, that's a stretch. And then, even going before that, having been diagnosed with colitis at age 16 in 1993, when technology, science, medical issues that was not talked about. It was not talked about at all. Bowel issues, GI issues. It was like hidden. It was pushed aside. You don't talk about.
Yeah, I feel like even like more recently, like even Crohn's is
Yes.
more of like a recent, disease or diagnosis for people.
It is coming out more because a lot of people eat processed foods, and a lot of it is being woken up by the processed foods. At least that's what I've been told, what I've been heard from other people. And I'm no saint. I eat crap here and there. I have a pizza here and there, and try to stay away from stuff I can't eat. Can't have popcorn. Haven't had popcorn in 30 some years, which really
Okay.
stinks. Don't eat, I don't eat wings anymore. Had to stop them years ago. So, but a lot of medical stuff. But medicine's getting better. Technology is getting better. The support system is getting way better. The doctors are getting better.
Yeah.
And you have more avenues and more treatment options. So it's just a matter of things you deal with. You just have to kind of go about with what you have access to. And now in today's avenue, they have so many new drugs to try, and hopefully it helps things out, because I'm still dealing with Crohn's pretty viciously. Some days I'm okay. Some days I'm in the bathroom 15 times, 20 times a day. So, it is what it is. But, we're defined by who we are. We're defined by what your journey. And I've always said, you play the deck of cards you're dealt. And yeah, I've been dealt a pretty crappy hand at cards for the past 2/3 of my life. But you kind of you take it and you work with it. So you try to find things to preoccupy yourself. When I was going through my liver failure, I was riding a bicycle constantly, like a mountain bike on the streets and just through Bucks County, where I was living when I was younger, when I got diagnosed and stuff, and get my mind off of it. Once I had the transplant, I started feeling better, but then the colitis kicked back in, and then it turned into Crohn's, and actually recently I've just celebrated 20 years of my transplant. So
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a big milestone.
Pretty good, and supposedly one of the longer ones for Penn. And I can't say enough about Penn. They are angels. Every single person that works there, they are awesome. So, but the health is one thing, and you try to do what you can, but you also try to find something to keep your your mind occupied. Hence, when I was younger, when I was sick, I was riding a bike, because if I just sat at home and my mind would just think of all the negative things that were going on. So, and that's kind of why it goes into probably your next question about cars or hobbies and stuff.
Yeah.
I survived the transplant when I was selling cars for a long time. I bought myself a Mustang, ordered it, waited the 6 months back in the day, because when they came out with the retro style in '05, everybody and their brother wanted one.
Yeah.
Very hot. It was the start of the retro craze.
Yeah.
Challenger, Camaro, they all went retro.
Yeah, they all did it.
And then, I say, I sold them to a bunch of people, and I call them up a week later. Hey, how's your car working out? This has changed my life. I can't leave a gas station for 15 minutes. I've met so many new people. I went down to the beach for the week with my wife, and they wanted me in the parade, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, maybe I should order one. And sure enough, I put my name in, asked my boss, can I order one? Yeah, you just got to wait your turn. I'm like, okay, I got nothing to worry about. And this is back in August of '05 I ordered it.
Okay.
Came in, I guess, the third week of January of '06. It went right to the body shop so they can paint the stripes on it, put the ducktail spoiler on it, put the vinyl stripes on the side, and they already had the exhaust on it when they PDI'd it. And then it took them about 2 weeks, because they never did one before, so that was kind of a first. So it was kind of a guinea pig thing, kind of an off the books thing, really. There's no work order for it. It's just cash and we'll paint the stripes on it for you. But took it home February 2nd, I think it was a Friday night, and I've never had so many eyes on me at one time ever, because it was like you were marked, because nobody had stripes on a Mustang in '05 or '06. Nobody in the area, Lansdale, Bucks County, Montgomery County, nobody had done it yet, and everybody was staring at me.
Yeah.
So that was fun. That was a fun
cool.
time. That was
That's
a very
cool.
fun time.
I know the feeling now too, because even I have
Yes,
the 2024 Mustang.
Hey, welcome
and
to the Mustang group.
Being one of the early people to have that car, and there not being that many of them in the area on the road.
I still don't see any.
Like everywhere
like
I go,
one.
it's the same thing. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's a new Mustang!" Like everybody wants to talk about it. So I totally understand.
Oh, they will flag you down. They will stop you at a gas station. You will not be leaving anytime soon. Be prepared to chat for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll get more into your car journey in just a moment, but I do want to go back to, we were talking a little bit about other hobbies. You had mentioned, well, obviously you've seen some of the other posts that I've posted about my watches. I've been collecting more recently some watches.
Cool watch.
This is a Seiko
with the Milanese
automatic.
mesh band.
Yeah, so with the mesh band. I actually really like this band a lot.
Mesh bands are cool.
But you had mentioned too that we need to talk a little bit about your watch collection. So maybe at some point we'll do a whole separate video.
I'm fine with that. I can bring them all
on your
in.
collection. But tell me a little bit about what is different about your collection, or some standouts that you have.
I think if you like cars, you like watches, especially chronographs. I'm a chronograph guy. I think every watch I have is a chronograph, except for the Garmin smartwatch, though it has a tag face on it, because you can change the faces with a touch of a button on your phone. I mean, I got all these little micro brands, because micro brands are the hot thing. It's like, everybody goes for, I want a Rolex. No, not for that kind of money. I want a Breitling, or I want a IWC, or whatever, or Hublot. No. Micro brands are cool because they go up to like $500, and you're getting a nice watch for $500. You're not getting tag quality. You're not getting tag. You're not getting Rolex. You're not getting that kind of, but you're getting something that's going to work, and it's quartz, and you can replace a battery, and it just looks cool. So what do I have in mind? My pride and joy is my tag Monaco. My tag Formula One Golf Edition. My wife got me for Christmas many years ago. I love that watch because I'm a golf junkie. Everything I got has golf on it, and that thing I don't wear it often because I don't want to damage it. Then I wear it when I do something cool, or if we're going out to a car thing, and I'm like, I'll wear it with my golf jacket that I have, my matching jacket, because Steve McQueen. But what else you got? You got some really cool brand called Stratton. He started his very first watch. He's a guy in Switzerland. He started his first watch off a Kickstarter, and I didn't even know what Kickstarter was. Like, put $300 in. If you don't get it, you lose the money. I'm like, well, okay, but I'll try it. It was a cool watch. I got it. I'm like, this is really cool. It came with a mesh band.
Okay.
I was like, okay. Now he's on his like 15th watch. His brand is really doing well, and the watches are like, yeah, he has some automatics that are like close to $1,000, but like
Okay.
a lot of them are like
Yeah.
$300, $400. If you do it on Kickstarter, it's cheaper. You get in the pre-buy. What else I got? I got some Timexes, a couple really cool Invictas. They're huge. They're too big to wear.
Yeah.
They're way too big.
They are beefy looking. Yeah.
A Di Tommaso watch, which has nothing to do with the car, but it's a cool looking watch. A company called Liv, L-I-V. Really cool blue face on it.
Okay.
That's a neat brand. What's another one? A very old Victorinox Andre Agassi watch that I bought when I was selling shoes right out of high school, that I bought from a watch shop in a kiosk across from us. It's a little Victorinox watch, single face. He wore it. He sponsored it. It's tennis ball yellow, and I still have it. It's tiny.
That's
compared
cool.
to today.
Yeah, sure. Everything's big today.
It's crazy today. But yeah, one day if you want to do a thing on watches,
we'll dive into it.
I'll bring them all in. You could, I don't know how you would do it with you could hold it up or something, but I bring them all in a box.
And right now, like my collection, I probably have about 10, 15 watches total.
That's cool.
And
that's a good collection.
The majority of them, though, are Timex and Seikos.
Oh, those are great watches.
They're both great fantastic watches.
Great watches.
They're solid brands.
Mm-hmm.
I think Timex is an amazing value for what you get. Like the watches are they look fantastic.
Yep.
They operate really well, and I mean they stand the test of time. Like most of their watches, people from you can find watches out there from the 50s and 60s that are still running.
Still
as long as you
away.
replace a battery here or there, like you're totally fine. And then the Seikos, as far as like the automatics that I have, they're amazing. I also have an automatic solar.
That's even cool.
Or not
Like
automatic. It's a solar Seiko that has a battery, so it recharges when you're outside and it's getting sunlight, recharges and everything. So it's actually really cool.
I don't think I have any automatic
and
watches.
Their quality is just unbelievable. Seiko, I think, is like, for again watches that are like under the $1,000 range, like anywhere from $100 to $1,000 in between there. Most of these watches are like $250, $300.
And that's a great value for that.
Amazing value for the money. So
I miss the one watch I think I probably should have snagged years ago because nobody bought it. They brought back the Ellen Ripley watch from Alien. And I think it was Seiko. Seiko and Giugiaro, the car designer, they did this funky watch. She wore the original Alien movie, and the plungers were vertical, top and bottom, off of the side.
Interesting. Okay.
And they reissued the original ones are like they're worth a lot, but they reissued it and nobody bought it. And now you can't even buy the reissue one for less than 4 figures. And it's a unique.
That's crazy.
There's no lights on it. There's no lume, but it's just if you see it, like it's the Ripley watch, and it's like back, I want to say 5-6 years ago. I didn't even think about it. And they were just giving them away at like $100 and some, and now it's like if the actual number, I think it's like 035 or 037. I can't remember the actual SCD 037. I don't know. You have to look it up.
Yeah.
Her actual, they have other colors, but if you're gonna get, you got to get her watch from the movie because that movie was so epic and scary and just terrifyingly crazy for the 80s. But that watch, and then the other watch that kills me at Costco, of all places.
Yeah.
Costco sells some really good stuff. If they have it, they have one. I remember going into Costco in Montgomery County in Montgomeryville when I was working at the dealership, just to go get something there I think I had to go pick up something. I think I wanted lunch or something. I forget. I don't know what I was doing. And I always look at the watches, and there is a Tag Heuer Monaco Steve McQueen edition.
Oh.
And it was sitting. I'm like, what is this doing here?
Yeah.
And they wanted $54.80 for it, which that's a lot of money for a watch. I could never do that.
Yeah.
I could never do that for a watch. Put that towards a car or whatever. But it was gone. I think I went back like a week later. It was gone. Someone found it.
Sure.
That watch today is worth like $8,000.
Wow.
because
Yeah.
it was a blue face with a silver stripe down the center, wide, and then 2 thin stripes, because it was the actual McQueen edition for him. And it's just like, that's the watch that got away. But
it is funny, like the difference in like certain watches, even like you said, the reissues. Like Timex does a ton of reissues, which are really
that's
cool.
pretty cool.
And they do like these retro remakes, but some of them, yeah, it's like they only do a limited amount of them, and once they sell out, they sell out.
Gone,
and then
right?
literally, like, like right now, there's actually a Marlin that they have, Timex Marlin. It's a Panda chronograph.
Oh, cool, black
That
and
looks
white.
awesome.
Awesome.
And it's got like the cool Roman numerals. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the 12, the 3 and the 6 are the 3 and the 9 are all like old font. Like it's really cool.
Really cool.
Right now, they already sold out on the website. They were like a $179,
Now they're worth.
and now you can't even seem to find them. So like I have a feeling that watch in the future is probably going to be at least a $500-600
Wow.
type thing. So
Well, what's your opinion on the Seiko? Oh, not the Seiko. The Swatch.
Moon Swatch.
Yes. Yeah. The
Omega.
The Omegas. Yes.
Yeah. Geez, so it's
For
so
$300,
funny.
it's pretty cool.
For $300, it is cool because it really looks like what is it? The Speed Timer, or
Speedmaster.
Speedmaster. Yeah,
Speedmaster, yep.
Speedmaster. It looks just like it. So like I think if you had it on and most people just glanced at it, they would almost think that it was that.
I think it's a cool idea because
I
it's
think
letting
it's
people in.
definitely a cool look.
They're getting in. They're letting people get into an Omega.
Right. Yeah.
For very
right,
inexpensive money, even though it's Swatch.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a slick idea.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I mean, I've seen them out there. I don't know.
Would you buy one?
I'm not sure.
I'd have to see. I have never even seen
Now,
one up close.
if actually, so I did
They
look.
sold out so
I looked
quickly.
online at a couple of them, and so they did like
all the planets,
all the
right?
different planets.
Yes.
So there's like different colors and everything.
I think
but
what's
I think
the one
moon
that's the moon
is
is
the
what
one.
that's what everybody wants, right? Because that looks like the
moon
real
is the
one.
one that looks like the real one.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it's like whatever it's called, Journey to the Moon or something like
Yes,
that.
yeah.
That would be the one. If I was going to get one, I would definitely want that one because that seems to be the one that is the most desirable.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know how many they actually produced.
Supposedly
I
they're
still
not-
see
they're-
them out there from time to time.
Supposedly
but-
there's no limit to them. So all the people that paid 3-4 times the value of it, there was no value because
they made so many of them.
yeah, they specifically not limited them because they wanted
Yeah.
everybody to be able to buy one. Unlike a Rolex or
Yeah.
or a Richard Mille.
Right. Yeah.
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 Six-figure
good
watches. Yeah, good luck in
Yeah.
life. But yeah, we'll
Sure.
definitely do one on the watches because that'll be a fun time.
Awesome.
That'll
Well,
be
that was
very-
fun chatting about that.
Yeah.
So, what we'll do now is we'll dive into a little bit of your automotive journey. So, the first question that I have is when it comes to the automotive journey is like, what was the first car that you learned to drive on?
I've only really owned a few cars because selling cars for so long, I had a dealer demo, so I didn't need to own a car. They even told me to get rid of my original car when I got hired. It was a 1986 Nissan 200 SX hatchback, rear-wheel drive.
Okay.
That was my first car. My dad got it for me for $500. It needed a motor, so we had to swap another motor. And he's a mechanic. He's in his 80s. He still works on cars. He's incredibly smart, and when it comes to cars, he can fix anything. So, but that was the deal. He would buy the first car, but I have to insure it, my own insurance at 16, which was not cheap when you're 16. Well, actually, let me phrase that, 17 years old, because I actually didn't get my license until I was 17, because I just didn't want it. I wasn't.
Okay.
Plus, I was not feeling well. That's when I first got diagnosed with colitis, and
Gotcha.
and I was still riding a bike, and I'm like, I don't really need it yet, but I wanted it for a senior, so I could drive to
Sure.
school every day,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
as a senior in high school, and have early dismissal, so I can get out early at 1:00, which was great. But that was the car I learned to drive on.
Okay.
And rear-wheel drive, as you have to really know what you're doing. I didn't know what I was doing, and I had a couple screw-ups and had to learn how to change a tire, change your oil and all that. But him being a mechanic, I had to learn how to do that anyway because you're expected to know how to do that. So, but once I started selling cars, that car went. I wonder where that car is today. I wish I had the VIN number because I'd love to.
Interesting. Yeah,
I'd love
right.
to see where the.
If it's still out there
Yeah,
somewhere.
see if it's running because it had like
Yeah.
180 some thousand miles when I had it. And,
I know.
And
I wish it was a little easier to track
nah,
cars.
yeah, I wish
like
that
it
would
would've
be
been-
fun. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
And then the next car I bought was the Mustang in
Okay.
2006. So that was only the second car I ever owned. And now I have had to get a couple Fusions once the dealership got bought out, and I had to turn my demo in. So I had a Fusion Energy plug-in, which was great because it got like 40 miles per gallon. Then I got a second one, I leased it because, people bash leasing. Leasing's actually good if you don't drive a lot or if you just want to have a new car every couple years.
Yeah.
Because it's all fixed. Everything's fixed. The payment's fixed. The rate's fixed. Everything's fixed, and you have a warranty. You can just, as long as you don't go crazy on mileage, you're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah.
Now I have a Ford Maverick, which is a really cool little truck.
Yeah.
That's a really.
And you have the hybrid Maverick, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's getting 43 miles per gallon in a little
so
truck.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's pretty neat.
It's interesting because I know like the hybrids are, they were really hard to get for a while.
I
think
lucky.
they're still hard to get.
Yeah.
Even if you order one now, it's taken way longer than expected.
Oh,
just
yeah.
Because of the
demand.
technology and the demand.
Well,
to get the hybrid engines, it's like.
Well, they thought it would be the other way around. They thought people would want the EcoBoost they figured it would be like 65-70% EcoBoost take rate versus 30% hybrid, and it was completely the opposite.
Wow.
It was 65-70% hybrid
That's
and
crazy.
30%, 35% EcoBoost.
Wow.
I mean, yes, that's what. Yeah.
EcoBoost, yeah.
And so they totally messed up the thought, and that's why I couldn't get them. But luckily, my old coworker called me and said somebody didn't pick one up. I know you were waiting for one because I had been keeping my Fusion lease extended forever, and then one popped in, and I went over and looked at it, and it's not loaded with everything that I would want, but it's blue. But it has to be blue. All the cars have to be blue, unless it's a different car, and then we'll get into that later.
Okay. Gotcha.
But those are the only cars I've ever owned, really. So everything else was dealer demos. Driving Focuses, Escort ZX2 in 1998, which was a neat little two-door coupe thing back in the day when Escorts were like. Nobody liked the Escort, but it was sufficient. It did its job.
It did what it needed to do.
It wasn't fancy, but it did what it did.
Well, it's funny because what
was yours?
Yeah, mine was the Honda Civic. So I had a Honda Civic hatchback,
durable car,
which was a great car.
That'll run forever.
But I totaled it. So that was unfortunately the first accident I was ever in as well. I was actually on my way to high school. I was in high school, and I was driving. It was actually like a day or two before Thanksgiving. I'll never forget it. And it was kind of like today, it was like foggy? Rainy, wet, foggy, and cold. So like, the tires were cold, everything was cold. So of course I was kind of coming up a hill, and I gunned it a little bit going up the hill
and
to
it's
get
front-wheel
over
drive.
it.
So
and there was another car literally at the very top of the hill waiting to make a turn. They couldn't make a turn yet because there was oncoming traffic. And literally, as soon as I got to the top of the hill, I hit the brakes.
And you went
straight. I just went sliding right into the back of the van.
Oh, no.
And I ended up totaling the car. I mean, the whole front end was really bad. I mean, I was fine. Everything was okay.
Did the airbags go off?
No, actually, I don't think it did.
Okay, probably wasn't going. You weren't going fast.
I wasn't going fast enough where it did
deceleration,
that, but it was still enough of an impact.
Oh, sure.
That the entire front of the car was just done.
Oh, absolutely.
So unfortunately, it was totaled, but it was a workhorse of a car. It was. I mean, yeah, they were built like little tanks back then.
And what year was that?
It had to be like mid '90s.
Oh, those are the Accords that would go forever.
Yes, it was a mid '90s version of it. So
you had a newer Accord recently, right? Civic.
I did. I had a Civic. Yeah, recently.
And tell me, could you tell that the older ones were more durable than the new ones?
For sure, because I got hit by a deer with this one. The deer came off to this. I don't have a lot of luck. I seem to get hit a lot, unfortunately. It's not me. It's just things like to hit me.
Yeah.
But except for that first one. That was my fault.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll admit to that one. But
you would say the older ones were
for sure.
Just in general, not just durability on the parts, just like it just seemed to run better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They were just built more solid. Even though I feel like they might have been a little heavier back then. The metal was different.
Oh, sure.
I mean, now everything's aluminum, fiberglass.
Well, look at the paints in the cars. The paints on cars don't. They're almost water based now because they had to take all the chemicals out. That's why cars chip so quickly now.
I feel like
easily.
If I was driving the old Civic that I had and got hit by the deer, there would have been a tiny little mark on the side of the car. This last one literally had to get a door replaced, a fender replaced, a headlight replaced.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, the mirror came off. Like, I mean,
Jeez.
it ended up doing, what was it? Almost $4,000 in damage.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's...
and that's enough for the insurance company because they don't want to deal with it. And,
that is.
And plus, probably were parts hard to get? Were things on...
Surprisingly, no.
Okay.
Not too bad because
Okay.
even though it's a newer one, it was a 23. That model has already been out for, I think, since 22.
Okay.
So it's already been a full year that it's been out. So it really released in, I guess, 20. The end of 20 is when those models started coming out. So that body style has been out there. So it seems like parts were pretty easy to get.
Good,
so
good.
Wasn't too bad. So going back to you, so we talked a little bit about your journey, and you kind of touched on this question already, but what was the first car you bought for yourself? Which was the Mustang, obviously.
Mustang, yep.
First car you modified.
Mustang.
So
I mean, that thing was modified before it even left. I mean, as soon as it came in.
Well, so tell me a little bit more about what was done and then what you did do to it.
I don't think we have enough time to do
Okay.
it. But everything was done on it, but we could do it in short term here.
But try to give me the full summary.
Let's see here. As soon as it came in, they put the boiler exhaust on the back because I wasn't messing anything up.
Sounds
yet.
great too.
Well, that's because other things have
Yes.
been done to it. Then it went over to our third party body shop in these painted high performance white Ford performance white stripes from nose to tail, and he also put on the ducktail spoiler, so he had to paint that blue, and he had to paint the stripes on it, so he had to line it all up and get it all. I mean, from when I remember going over there one day just to pick something up for the shop. I forget what I had to go over to get something, and I saw my car sitting there and it was taken apart. The bumpers were off, the hood was off. And you could see the tape was the fine line tape was there to mask all the stripes because the guy did exactly what I wanted: 10-inch stripes with a 2-inch gap in the middle, from the very bottom to the very bottom of the back, and it goes through. And that's how you could tell on those year Mustangs if the paint went through the license plate area. That was painted because there was no way to get vinyl to curve in that funky shape.
Interesting. Okay.
They would always go around the license plate opening, but if it went through, they were painted stripes because you can just tape it off and just paint it completely through, and that's what I did on that. And it stayed like that for a while. Then I put a cold air intake on it from Air Raid because you don't need a computer tune for that because back in the day, nowadays it's really dangerous. Not dangerous, but like dealers are really want to don't want you to mess with your cars. Like the new Corvettes, well, the new 24 Mustang is locked. I don't think anybody's tuned it yet because they can't unlock the PCM. And other cars are going to be like that too. So I just did the Air Raid cold air intake, which you just put it in and had an insert that would be the same size as factory, and it wouldn't throw a code. We got better mileage, got a little bit better kick and power, not much, but enough, because that was the inception of drive-by-wire throttle body. It was electronic throttle body. There was no more cable anymore in those cars in the S197. And then I guess a year, and then little things, little trinkets inside, some aluminum trim here and there, aluminum emergency brake handle, and painted the switch plates myself using paint instead of putting the aluminum ones on top. But then like a couple years later, I'm like, you know what, the car is pretty good, and talking to the guys at work, they're not going to void your warranty for anything as long as it doesn't cause the issue. So like if something happened with a cold air intake, you're not going to lose your warranty for the entire car just on that part. Gotcha. So it's like if your power window goes, well, power window has nothing to do with your emission system. Right. So but see, people had fears back then, especially tuning a car. But on those cars back then, you just unhook the battery, and it shows it's a dead battery code. They'd have no idea you actually tuned the car because you can put it back to stock. Long tube headers, and at the time I had high flow catalytic converters on it with an H pipe, so hence the really 60s. Because all I wanted, all the people back in the day, they were doing superchargers on the car. I didn't want to put a supercharger on it. It's too expensive, and that motor is great. It doesn't get a lot of love because it's between the motor from the Mach 1 in 04, the 32 valve modular, and the 5-liter Coyote. Right. So that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the short little window. The 3-valve V6, 3-valve 4.6 liter V8 does not get love, but it sounds very unique, and you can modify it for cheap and it sounds really cool once you modify it. Now there's no cats on my car because my car is now a classic. So just waiting for my classic plate to come in. As soon as it comes in, no more emissions testing for me, which is really cool.
That's cool.
Because once a car hits 15 years old in Pennsylvania, you can get a classic tag, and then it doesn't need emissions testing; it just needs safety testing. So,
there you go. Nice.
But that's where the sound comes from, really good.
Yeah.
And then change the seats, put Roush seats in it, put the turned aluminum dashboard from a 2008 Bullitt Mustang, which has real turned aluminum, but it's coated with plastic, so it doesn't fingerprint. But it has that cool turned aluminum look, like a Trans Am, like the old Trans Am dashboards back in the day. Bullet shift knob, center mounted fog lights, like a 67 GT350 Shelby wheels, which are my favorite thing because nobody has them, nobody uses them, and you can't find them anymore. And I did ding one, so not terribly, but it's enough that I'm really mad at myself for doing.
Sure. Of course.
Hansel will fix them eventually. He has to figure out how to do it the right way because it's I did a number on it's a machined lip, and he has the machine, but he's got to figure out how to do it the right way because he doesn't want to experiment on my wheel. But they look like 10 spokes from a 67 GT350 because my thought process back in the day was the way that car looks today is how I dreamed it before I ordered it. Gotcha. And it basically came out to what I wanted. So
that's awesome.
I'm not doing anything else to that car. There's, it's got an in-dash DVD nav, which I needed for an iPod back in the day because it had no iPod connection in 2006. There wasn't even a line-in cable until 2007, so you couldn't even plug it in. Yeah. But it's going to turn 60,000 miles soon, and for 17-year-old car, so I'm driving it. I think I've driven it 6,000 miles this year, which is the most I've driven in a long time on that car. Cars and coffee every Saturday morning at Northbrook, as long as it doesn't rain, and anything else that's going on, and all the guys would go someplace and whatnot. So, but it's pretty much it's a work. It was always a work in progress, but I think the work is done.
Gotcha.
So,
nice.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Now you got to start modifying your car.
Right. I'll put a drop-in K&N in that for now. And that'll be fine for now.
That's fine.
But yeah, so my first real car that I modified, any major modification, I had a 2009 Mustang. So it was a V6.
Oh, very cool.
Similar
demo back in the day. There was
body style great, and all that. So
retro body style.
Yep. Actually, and I put a pipes.
Oh yes. I know them very well.
Axleback exhaust on it. I did that myself.
They're at a Hatfield.
That was one of the first real modifications I did.
Oh, very cool.
Cold air intake. So it was a good sounding car.
That
it was
4-liter engine was a good engine.
It was
a very
awesome.
good engine.
Yeah. So that was my first and I did a lot too. I put the headlight splitters. I had
cool.
The kind of the hood pins and
neat.
I had stripes. I put stripes on it. I did
excellent.
vinyl. Yeah, black vinyl stripes that I did myself. So
very cool.
So there was a lot of cosmetic stuff that I did. But that was really the first car that I had that I was like, "Ooh, I want to make this something different. I want to make it mine."
You had to stand out because there were so many of them.
Yep.
And they all looked for the most part the same. But now you see them out and about. You can still
you can modify them like crazy now.
Yeah, and unlike the Coyotes and the new S550s, the parts for that stuff are still very inexpensive to do. So if somebody picks one up, they can just go to CJ Pony Parts and oh look, that's $100 for LED fog lights. Yeah, it's nothing. It's nothing. So
which funny,
is really cool.
Going back to one of the questions, it was what's the first car you bought yourself?
Yeah.
For me, the one that I'm most proud of that I bought first for myself was a BMW, actually. So it was a 2001 BMW 318i.
Oh,
so it was the dark blue with the beige interior. It was gorgeous. It was I was so happy with that car. I was working at the time for Singular, which was an affiliate of AT&T.
Sure, cell phone.
And this is prior to the iPhone. So this is between 2001 and 2005.
So before the smartphones.
So before smartphones.
Still had
the Motorola Razr
the
was
flip phones.
Huge.
Yeah.
The Nokias, the little bricks.
Sure.
The little Ericssons. All
Ericsson.
of that stuff was so popular.
Forgot about
that. And I worked in King of Prussia Mall. at the Singular store, and I made a killing, and I was doing really well. And that was like one of my first really successful jobs where I was doing well, and I was like, well, I'm treating myself, and
Heck yeah.
I bought that car, and it was like 300 something a month payment or something on it at the time, and it was like, well, this is pretty steep for
It's okay.
a 20-year-old kid doing this. And
yeah, but it was a 318, which was they were cool cars.
It was awesome. Like, I just absolutely loved it. I didn't do anything to it, no modifications or anything like that. I just enjoyed driving it. It was a fantastic driving car, and it didn't have the X drive, so it wasn't all wheel. It was rear wheel. It was just just like standard classic kind of BMW, and it was just a blast. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, so let's dive into some dream cars. So talking about iconic kind of cars, what was your favorite car from like a TV show when you were growing up?
I have to think about that because
there's been so many.
yeah, that is true. Let's see. The Fall Guy pickup truck was really freaking cool.
Okay.
If I don't know if you remember
I don't think I've seen that.
Fall Guy was Lee Majors. He was a stunt man, but he also was he did bounty. He was a bounty hunter on the side, and he had a lifted GMC. I don't know what it was, pickup truck, and it was pretty cool looking. Had the KC lights and the chrome bar behind his the cab. That was a pretty cool truck, and they beat the crap out of that. Of course, Miami Vice. The Daytona, the fake Daytona, because it was a Corvette chassis Daytona body, but then they had the real Testarossa, which was really cool, and they had them repainted white because when they were given red cars and they had to repaint them so it would show up better on camera. Magnum PI, 308 Ferrari. Yeah. Never had the roof on because he couldn't fit with the target top on the, which is pretty funny because I guess he's a pretty tall guy. They said
tall.
Knight Rider, but that was so, everybody wanted.
Everybody liked that car.
Everybody liked that.
Yeah, it was just
the 18
cool.
van was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The 18 van was really cool.
Yep.
If it's just going off TV, but if you go movies.
Yeah, that was the next question. So yeah, what's the movie car?
It has to be. You got to go back to two movies. You got to go back to, seeing Back to the Future in the early. I didn't even know what the heck it was. I remember going home from I guess it came out in '86, so I was probably 10, 11, because we watched it at my friend's house when I was young, really young, and put it in the VCR, and I'm like, what is that car? And I'm like, Dad, there was this car where the doors would go up, and it was a D, and it's like, oh, a DeLorean. I was like, what the heck is that? And then he started telling me about it.
Sure.
And stuff. And once you really learn about that car, the motor is not that great.
Right.
But it's iconic because no matter where you go, that movie is awesome. Yep. The cast is awesome.
Yeah.
We went to Radwood with one of our friends' cars. He has two of those three. Actually, he's got really three movie cars because he's got the Pretty Woman car.
Yeah.
And everybody wanted to go around the DeLorean. And some guy dressed up as Marty. His friend was dressed up as Doc, and they had.
That's great.
It tells you how loved that car is, and it doesn't matter. You can have a Lamborghini Murcielago pulling into a car show, but then if you have a DeLorean with the doors up, all the kids are going to flock to the DeLorean because of what it is. Because it is what it is.
Right.
And then beginning at Cannonball Run with the black Countach.
Okay.
They sped the film up throughout, but hearing that engine when they're just gunning it through the desert and the cops are trying to catch that car, it's just like, what is this thing? Because I remember seeing a picture of that car in fourth grade. A classmate had a book on the Lamborghini Countach, and I'm like, what is that car? Because it was so wedgy, so nothing looked like that. And got the book like a day later. Told my mom, I was like, I got to get this book. We found the book at a bookstore, and I must have read that book cover to cover. It's like forever. But that car, that is the iconic car because of just what it looks like. And, and you just nothing, and still even today, nothing looks like that car. Nobody thought they would be worth what they're worth today.
Sure.
I remember years ago you could buy them for 10, 15 years, you could buy them for $50,000, $65,000. yeah, it's going to cost you a lot to fix it because the motor's got to come out and do the clutch, but now they're worth 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 900,000. Who
Yeah,
who would
crazy,
who would have
crazy money.
thought that?
That's
So-
just nuts.
So those are the movie cars.
Yeah.
Those, and maybe one more, a Pretty Woman car. Because everybody sees a Lotus Esprit, which I love that car. I love the brand so much. They just think the movie. They just think Julie Roberts driving that car through
Yeah.
Beverly Hills, just going around corners real quick on it. And I was like, what is that thing? It's like, it's not a Lamborghini. It's not a Ferrari. It's a Lotus.
Kind of has a Lamborghini look
Yep,
to it,
yep.
but yeah.
Very that wet windshield. If I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken, there's no curves on that windshield. It is a flat plane of glass.
That's
Which is
crazy.
crazy on
Yeah.
that car. Yeah. So what were your
Interesting,
what were your movie
interesting.
cars?
Yeah, I think so. TV wise, I probably was more of the Knight Rider.
Okay.
That was more my generation. I remember coming home from school and wanting to put that on and watch it.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
that I think was the ultimate kind of TV car for me. But movie wise, I would say more recently is the Eleanor Mustang. Gone in 60 Seconds is kind of that just classic, iconic. I love the gray with the black stripes. Obviously, my Mustang now, I have the silver
Yep.
with the black stripes.
Yep.
That look of the Eleanor, yeah, I don't know. Something about it. Love that car. Those would probably be my two main ones. But I was going to ask you, you already kind of touched on, for this little game that I was going to do, A Tale of Two Cars. You kind of already gave one away because I was going to put two cars against each other and see which one you would want in your collection.
Okay.
So obviously it was the Back to the Future DeLorean versus Kit,
Oh,
So
I would take I would take a DeLorean.
I think you already answered that one.
I would take a DeLorean in a
So
heartbeat.
now, here, I think I know where you're going to go on this one. Steve McQueen, Bullet Mustang,
No.
versus the Gone in 60 Seconds Eleanor Mustang.
Well, that's easy because I'm not a fan of the Eleanor car.
Okay.
I'm just not. That is. I mean, I'll when you post this and whoever watches it, I'll get flamed.
No, it's totally fine.
No,
'cause the Bullet car is amazing too.
No, but that car is not a Shelby Mustang.
Well, I get it.
Yeah,
I get
that
it.
is
The
Jerry
movie
Bruckheimer's
did his
idea.
thing, yes.
That was Jerry Bruckheimer's idea.
I know.
Chip Foose helped him. Chip Foose did. And I love Chip Foose. I met Chip Foose. And I no, but that car, I just, and it goes in hand because that's the small reason why, because there was a company, you can look it up, Unique Performance. It's a very weird story. They were taking fastback 67, 68 Mustangs, chopping them up to make Eleanor cars to
Okay,
sell them.
Sure.
Which were taking cars away from people that wanted to do a Steve McQueen Bullet
Right.
tribute.
Yep.
And eventually they got shut down because they were VIN swapping where they weren't supposed to do that. Very interesting story back in the early 2000s when that movie came out and such. And it's a neat read to find the story about them. But it's funny because I'm a McQueen junkie. I have
Yep.
posters. I have I think on my Maverick there's a number 20 Golf decal in the back window. I have other Golf stuff with him on it. I have his shoes, that I used to wear around with number 20 on it. I wanted my Mustang to actually be green, but they didn't offer it. And when they came out with the Bullet Mustang in 2008, I'd already modified my car for it. I can't turn back now.
Yeah.
And it killed me because I love that movie. The movie's great. A lot of people don't even watch the movie. They just watch the chase scene and it's like, it's actually, it's a pretty neat movie. It's nothing fancy, but it's a pretty interesting movie. Had a very young Robert Duvall as the cab driver that nobody knew it was Robert Duvall, because he was so young then. When he was taking Frank Bullitt around to the different places where the bad guy was, and then he had Mr. Roper, I guess, from Three's Company. He was also in the movie too, as one of his chief of police. I can't remember, but I would definitely take the Bullet Mustang.
Yeah,
any day
I had
of
a
the week,
feeling
twice on
that's where
Sunday.
you were going to go with that one.
That car is. I'm glad they found the car, and the car is being preserved now because the story about how they found that car in a collection just rotting away was just a crime, and nobody thought it would be worth anything because it was just a Mustang.
Right, yeah.
It wasn't even anything
Yep.
fancy.
Right.
I did read a story that they're coming out with another movie.
Really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
not a redo, not a sequel. Another story of Frank Bullitt, and the rumor is, where did I read it? Was it going to be Brad Pitt playing Frank Bullitt? I can't remember, but there is there Spielberg's attached to it.
Okay.
It's going to be another story involving Frank Bullitt.
Interesting.
I don't know if it's going to be modern. I don't know how they're going to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
They've been talking about it, because you can't redo the movie. Don't
Yeah.
redo the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Don't redo the movie. But if you're going to do something like that, another tale, that'd be kind of cool.
I feel like more recently, in the last like 10, 15 years, there's been a lot more uptick of like movies or good storylines that they've kind of been recreating.
Oh, absolutely.
From the automotive world.
Oh, yeah.
Even like Ford versus Ferrari.
Saw that the
Awesome.
night it came out.
Awesome movie.
Thursday night.
I mean,
Early showing.
obviously the what's it called? Fast and the Furious franchise has gone on way too long. But
I have no problem with that movie. I'm going there for 2.5 hours.
The original one was still.
Oh, it was great.
I mean, you can't
It was
beat that.
awesome.
But
It was awesome.
but,
And I love the. I know a lot of people hated at first. They hated Tokyo Drift.
Okay.
I love Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
Tokyo Drift was great. It was a great story. It holds up really well. I haven't watched 6,
yeah,
7,
right, yeah,
8,
I know.
9, or 10 on
Well,
repeat.
it's funny
I'll
because
watch
when they
5.
come on, I'm like, I don't even remember which one this is, but
I will watch 5 again because 5 in Brazil. That was so cool because it's because The Rock finally came in, and then you had they're all there.
Right.
Han was there. They brought them all back to do that was just really cool. And just all the cars that plus in that movie there's a GT40.
yeah,
And there's a Pantera in that movie at
Yeah.
the very beginning of the movie, which is really cool. So I mean, even like there's a new Ferrari movie coming out.
right. That looks great.
that
Adam
looks-
Driver.
Oh, that looks
Yeah, it
great.
looks really good. I
and
saw
it's-
some of the previews.
And it's going to be him not making the cars. It's going to be him driving for Alfa Romeo as a race car driver before when he's younger, which is going to be really interesting.
I still want to see too the Orlando Bloom Gran Turismo.
I haven't on my. I haven't even. I downloaded. I haven't
Did
watched
you?
it
Okay,
yet.
yeah.
You know,
I'll have to.
Rich says to watch
back
it. He
and
says
check it
it's
out,
great.
yeah.
He says it's a really good movie.
Yeah, I
And
definitely
haven't-
want to check that
I haven't
out.
watched that yet. And then it's like, there's Ford vs Ferrari was great. Rush was awesome. Rush was phenomenal. I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there was I don't know if you watched some Formula One, right?
Some. Yeah, I haven't gotten too into it.
Okay.
John's gotten more into
Yeah.
it than.
Because Brad Pitt is doing a Formula One movie.
Okay.
Because he was filmed, I forget which track it was, but he was in a suit. He's a driver, an aging driver, and they're doing it because that was, remember the movie Driven with Stallone?
Okay.
That was supposed to be Formula One, and they wanted a gazillion dollars to use their rights, so they made it about kart or IRL. So, it was because that was Bernie Ecclestone owned Formula One at the time, and you want to use Formula One, you got to pay me a lot of money. But that movie that Brad Pitt's coming out with, it's supposedly, I don't know what it's called, but there was pictures. You can just Google it. You can see
I'll have to do some research on it.
He's actually at the tracks, and they're doing filming during the actual races.
That's
and he's
cool.
And I think his suit's got all the. What was the watch brand? Was it IWC? Probably. Might be one of the sponsors. I don't know.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
it's going to be pretty
Yeah.
neat. So
I think I did see something about that because
It's-
I remember seeing something about a watch. And I think it was tied to that. 'cause-
it's going to
yeah.
be pretty neat. I don't know when it's coming out because of the strike and stuff.
Okay.
But I would love
Interesting.
him as a race car driver. I think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because he's always been at the tracks.
Yeah.
He's always been into it. Even with that other movie, Transporter.
Right. Yeah.
Love that movie.
Yeah.
Love that movie. That movie
Yeah,
was so cool.
for sure.
That movie was so cool.
I know. Yeah. That was a good one. There's been a lot of good automotive.
I will say
a
the
lot of
Lamborghini.
awesome cars. And
The Lamborghini movie was not good.
now, okay.
That was not a good. It was an interesting story, but it was not that accurate. It was kind of very low budget.
Yeah.
Unlike Ford versus Ferrari, which is like one of the best movies,
Right.
best car movies I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And it had all the replica cars from Superformance and race car replica. That movie was just awesome, and they all nailed it. Matt Damon's a lot shorter than Carroll Shelby, but it worked.
Yeah.
And Christian Bale as Ken Miles was perfect.
Yeah.
Everything was
good.
great.
That was fantastic.
Everything was good
Yeah.
on that movie.
Yeah, I
That was
really enjoyed that one.
So happy they
Yeah.
made that movie because
I know.
that was a story that needed to be told. So,
Yeah.
and I'm glad they did that.
That was
So,
awesome.
Yep.
All right, so I think we're going to wrap it up here. So,
Okay.
of course, we've come to the end of the ultimate cargasm, which leads
Okay.
us to your ultimate cargasm car. So, that's the last question for you. If money was absolutely no object and you had that one dream car,
It has to be one, can't be two.
has to be one.
Oh,
What?
okay.
What's the one?
Ford 2005, 2006 Ford GT.
And it's so funny because that's the same for me.
You know,
It's just something about that car.
having driven them multiple times, had clients that had them at work.
And what's your color on that?
'06, the Heritage color, the Gulf color ones, which
Of
is
course.
but I'll give you something to stew on.
Yeah.
If you put that car, that 2006, they made 343 in that color, and now there's some wrecked. They made 4,038 cars, or some say 4,033, in 2 years. And if you put that Heritage car next to the new Heritage, 19 or 20, because the same color, the only difference was the numbers are different because they mimic the Le Mans cars, 9 and 6 for 19 and 20, and then they put a pinstripe on the number 6 car to separate the two colors. The colors are way off. The color on the
Really?
because I believe you need to have the licensing to use the true Gulf colors from Gulf Oil International because it's a trademarked color.
Wow. Okay.
Because like McLaren has the rights to use it on their cars, Porsche has the rights to use it on their cars. They paid the money because that's a brand they keep very. You just can't like sell stuff and I guess they want their trademark. They want their intellectual property taken care of.
Yeah.
I mean, the color is Heritage Blue and Epic Orange on the 2006, and it looks really good. But if you put it next to it, the blue on the '06 is way darker, though it's light than the actual 1920 Heritage because they use the color. Supposedly, they scan the color from the actual winning race car.
Interesting.
And that's how they got the color matched
Yeah.
to a T. But
Wow.
the car drives like a Ford Focus. It drives like a Mustang. It's so simple. It's just, it's like, the doors. Some people hate the doors because you can't get out unless you have to be able to open the door all the way.
Right.
Because of the
top.
the,
way
yeah,
the roof is.
the roof goes in just like the race car did
Yeah.
because you can jump in instead of having to climb in.
Uh-huh.
But the cars are durable. The cars can go forever. The motor is way overbuilt. It can handle so much power without doing anything. It'll handle 1,000 horsepower without even sweating anything.
Yeah.
Only problem is you just can't get parts for them anymore. That's the only problem, and they're worth so much money. It's almost you'd be scared to drive it on certain days because you just, God forbid, something happens to it. You're not getting another one if the one you want is the one you want.
Sure.
But something happen, you can always find another one as long as you have it insured for what it's worth.
Yeah. Right.
But I mean, I remember back in the day they were going for as low as $110,000,
Yeah.
120.
I kind of remember that. Yeah.
2010 time frame. Nobody wanted them.
Yep.
And everyone thought, oh, they're just going to depreciate down. They'll be worth like 80 grand. They can pick them up like the price of a, at the time, a Testarossa. Not because even them growing up, but now they're 350, 400,000, 350 for one with miles, 400, 450 for one with like 4-digit miles, 500, 550 for one with miles in 2 digits, and if it's a Heritage car, it's worth like 500 to 600,000. And but the thing is, like, I would love that car, but like for that value, I'd rather buy a small group of cars.
I get what you're saying though. Yeah.
And then I could have my.
There's so much more you could do with
Yes.
that bucket of money.
Oh yeah, you can buy. I could buy
Totally.
a handful of little Lotus cars, and a Lease, and a Spree, and a Vora GT. Import a Carlton, which is the right-hand drive sedan, which is crazy. Nobody knows what it is, and then. You got a little garage, but like if you said one car, that would be the car.
That would be the car.
That'd be the car.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, but what color would you?
Now see, I'm white with the blue stripes.
Okay.
I love that look. It's just something classy about it to me.
Okay.
And that would be the way I would go.
I think I just got an email from Bring a Trailer. There's actually one on there right now.
Yeah.
97 miles.
Jeez.
57 miles. It was under 100 miles. And it had the standard wheels. It did not have the upgraded wheels. It didn't have the standard BBS, the 6-spoke, not the multi-spoke upgraded, lightweight BBS wheels. And it's a GT, so they'll probably have it be a 10-day or 12-day auction. So I'm curious what that'll do. It's going to do some crazy number.
I'm sure it will.
And it'll never. And the really sad thing is, it won't get driven.
Yeah.
That car is just, it's going to sit in someone's garage. They're going to stare at it. They're going to go up and wipe it with a diaper. Ferris Bueller. There's another movie car for you.
Yeah.
But I'm there with you, so that's good. We got the same exact car, which is pretty cool. But this has been fun.
Yeah, this has been fun.
I will say,
Yeah.
and I'll in today's age, and we talk. I don't know if I've talked to you about this, but a lot of us have talked about it because we're about the same age group.
Yeah.
Kids today have it so easy to see crazy cars.
Absolutely.
They're everywhere.
Yep.
You can go down to the Lamborghini dealer in Devon. They'll just walk in. They'll let you look around, and it's great.
Yep.
You can go down to the Ferrari dealer down by Villanova. Walk in.
Yeah.
The guy there, he's awesome.
Yep.
Walk, because he knows people aren't going to go in and make a scene. They're not going to touch things. Just enjoy, take pictures, have fun. Same with McLaren. Back when I was in, elementary school, and you never saw these things.
No.
Ever.
The car show was it.
That was
big
it.
thing.
You're right.
The Philadelphia car show,
exactly.
once a year.
That's right.
That was it, and that's what my father, always took. John and I, we would always go to the car show every year. That was our big thing. He would either, get tickets online or from a dealership friend, somebody that he's worked with.
Yep, that's right.
And we always would go, and that's where we got an opportunity to see a lot of those cars. But now you're right. The opportunity we get today, and being
crazy
in the car community and kind of like knowing some of these people who own these cars, it's just absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah,
so,
I can remember.
So fortunate to see what we get to see.
I mean, seeing a Porsche in the 80s was a thing. That was like, oh my God, it's a 911. And I grew up near Holbert's dealership in Warrington when Al Holbert was alive before he passed away and stuff. And then some guy in town had a 308 Ferrari, and that was like, oh my gosh. And then I didn't even think about seeing a Countach until I saw one at a car show at Airport Square in like '89, an anniversary Countach. But that was like, you didn't see him. Like my dad took me to Kerbeck in 1991 in 8th grade to see a Diablo, and I went to see the Lotus in '88 to see an Esprit. But that was like, you don't see them today. Now it's like, oh, on the way home I can get passed by a Huracan going to the store.
Yeah, seriously,
it's crazy.
It is. It's nuts.
And
Absolutely nuts.
Just so the kids today have it way easier than we did growing up to see really cool, crazy, fabulous cars, and and heck, we didn't carry around cameras, so it's like, you tell, I saw a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Right.
No, you didn't.
Now everybody's got one in their pocket.
That's right, and they can see. I saw a Koenigsegg.
Yeah.
So
wow.
But yeah, that's the one thing I always want people to know. Like today, access to these cars, which is great because if you have these cars, you got to take them out. You got to share them with everybody because some people, it's just like watching an athlete play. It may be the only time they see that car. They may be visiting from out of town and they'll never see the Koenigsegg that John brings around.
Yeah.
They'll never see it again because there's only 80 of them in the world.
One of 80. Yeah, seriously.
So it's like
that car's unbelievable.
To let people see it up close. It's really cool people do that. Because it's when you hide them in the garage and and you don't see the stuff. It's like it's kind of I feel for the cars because it's like they were built, designed, engineered to be driven, enjoyed, shared. So you got a cool car, bring it out. Doesn't matter what it is.
And I think we're also very fortunate in this area to also have the classics, like the classic auto mall.
Oh yeah,
we can go out to Morgantown, and anytime you can go in there and literally see every car from your childhood.
That's
like,
right.
Every car from your father's childhood. Seriously, like you can see everything.
That is really cool.
And it's really cool. And it's also one of those places too where like I like to go every once in a while because I like to look at like I just did a video recently on all the Mustangs.
Yeah.
And you can literally see every Mustang. Every generation is there.
That's right.
I did one on Corvette. Like every generation of Corvette is there. So you can literally go and kind of see all of those cars in one place, and for us it's pretty close by, which is great, so we get to enjoy that.
Go every couple months because they flip the inventory so often, and you get there at 9 o'clock, you spend 2 hours is still not enough time to see it all, but you're kind of like it's time to go. You got to go get something to eat or something. But no, it's just the stuff that is there, and you see the weirdest things too.
Yeah, for sure.
Weirdest thing.
Yeah.
A
like the Amphicar or whatever.
Yeah, the Amphicar, Citroen Deux Chevaux. Just crazy stuff.
Batmobile.
The real Batmobile that's sitting there.
Yeah,
and
it is. Well, and I've seen Panteras in there, and
Yeah.
I've seen, you know, again, they're DeLoreans. Like, I mean, you get to see stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Which again are cars that you don't see every day.
Nope.
But you know,
Nope.
they have that kinds of stuff there. So
Yep.
it's pretty awesome.
Yep. So
Yeah, we are lucky.
we are very lucky.
Well, we'll wrap it up there. So, guys, if you enjoyed this, like it, share it, thumbs up.
A lot of fun.
Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the other upcoming episodes. We're going to have a lot more people to talk to and a lot more fun. And if people want to follow you on Instagram,
054 GT, my dream car. That's pretty much it. I don't have Facebook, so
there you go.
Just I do
you
that
can
for the
follow
cars.
Jeff there on Instagram. And I'm the Automotive Junkie. Thanks and have a great day.